One day I will find it. An individual's connection to place and people, evoking memories, cultures, and senses that contribute to the formation of identity. The complex idea of identity is derived from the fact that place provides stability in the sense of belonging and the attachments adopted. The ideas of identity struggle and the rediscovering of identity form us into the individuals we are today in society. In the poem Home by Miriam Weiwei Low, she explores the multifaceted idea for people experiencing dislocation and uncertainty of where to belong. The loss of connection to culture ultimately blocks her sense of identity and her place in society. The poem uses the term home metaphorically throughout the title. It doesn't represent a place, instead it represents a feeling of safety and love. The author's lack of belonging and uncertainty proves that she has an understanding of what home should be like, but she lacks a connection to it. The author expresses her idea of what home will be like through high modality. It will be a skyscraper, 50 stories tall. It will be the smallest, most picturesque cottage. I will live there alone and with everyone I love. Although she understands the concept of home, she struggles with the internal conflict of trying to find a place that provides stability to overcome her senses of identity. In 2013, my family embarked on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity into America. My dad was offered a teacher's exchange in Colorado, USA. My whole family packed all their belongings and we moved across the world for a year. Although we had a place to call home, it just didn't feel the same. I had lost my culture and place in society and it wasn't quite sure on where to belong. I struggled with developing my identity without my culture and place. Throughout the year, I began to realize that home isn't a place. Instead, it's the people I belong with and feel safe and loved by. The year 2013 contributed to a large part of my identity and helped me grow as an individual. Biblical allusions are used throughout part one of the poem to create a strong Christian framework. The constant tension between now and not yet is used as a voice behind the poem to express emotions, images, and memories to communicate what home should be like. The biblical allusion of 2 stone tablets and a thin wafer of honey are used to refer to the 10 Commandments as well as the food given to Israelites throughout their journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. The biblical allusions are used as an introduction into the second part of the poem, as well as establishing the dislocation and uncertainty of where to belong. Throughout the poem, Miriam has difficulty in finding a sense of home and discovering what that sense of home means. She also struggles in finding a sense of belonging and a sense of connection to family and the wider sense of culture and sense of society. Do I belong? What does it really mean to belong? Translucent Jade by Maureen Ten explores the concept of rediscovering identity and belonging after being separated from her society. Throughout the poem, Ten investigates the impact that migration has on cultural identity. Commonly, when a family migrates, their parents give their children English names, which helps the child settle into their new culture. Thus, her name is a metaphorical representation of her life and her grandfather's gift of jade. It is a name from her past and represents her cultural inheritance. The name Jade appears to have slipped away accidentally, and a piece of identity given to her from her father was forgotten about. Juxtaposition is used between the first and second stanza to transition and display concern she had about her sense of identity and culture. The changeover between her gift sparkled and sang and retrieved his gift from the silence has a dramatic impact on her sense of identity as well as her newly adopted cultural heritage. The rediscovering of her past cultures and identity establishes a reconnection with her Chinese background and reformed her idea of who she is and do I belong. Although Ten lived in Australia, she didn't feel Australian because of her Chinese name, but she also didn't feel Chinese because of her Australian name. Through accepting both her cultural backgrounds and her Australian name, she was able to come to terms with her sense of self and develop a nostalgic appreciation for the gift that was once given to her by her grandfather. The poem ties together the connection between language, culture, and identity. The significance of Maureen's name in comparison to the name migrants are given and put on for cultural acceptance is considered and challenged throughout the poem. Through rediscovering her identity, Ten is able to discover stability in a sense of belonging and the forming of her own identity. The complicated idea of identity evokes an individual's connection to place and people, providing stability in molding social formations, creating differing cultural perspectives, therefore creating a sense of identity.